Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Delighted to be back here with the mayor once again at this very station. You know, we worked together intensely since his first week on the job. It's hard to believe it's already been a year, Mayor, and congratulations on an outstanding State of the City address yesterday. So it's great to be back with you again. I'd like to acknowledge Jana Lieber, the Chair and CEO of the Metropolitan Transit Authority, better known to all of us as the MTA. We've been together often as well. So one was just this week was we had the soft opening of Grand Central Madison, and what an extraordinary experience that was. So Jano, thank you and your team for all you do, keeping us safe here, but also keeping us moving. Also, Chief Michael Kempner, the Chief of Transit, has joined us as well. I want to thank him. And also from our team, our Commissioner of New York State Office of Mental Health, Dr. Anne Marie Sullivan, who has been laser focused on helping us deal with statewide, but in particular here in our subways, the crisis of mental health that has been unfolding for a number of years, but has really hit a situation that has to be addressed. So we're back here. I'm here to just give a status report. You know, we stood here back in January. We talked about our partnership. We stood here in February talking about how we are launching our safe option support teams, sending trained professionals to go into our subways, to develop relationships with people, not just a one-off, but develop relationships that can result ultimately in people getting the care and the service they need, basically the people who've been homeless or dealing with severe mental illness. So we have been working very hard on that, and also connecting those New Yorkers with supportive services, and whether it's mental health or substance abuse, and making sure that even ultimately they get connected to not just housing, but job training and skills and education, treating these individuals as people who deserve to know what is available to them. And already, since we launched this, we've helped over 650 individuals, formerly unhoused, high-need New Yorkers, connect with critical intervention services. So that was what we talked about last February. In October, the mayor and I stood Grand Central, talking about our strategy to increase people's sense of security, but also the actual security of individuals who take advantage of this incredible lifeline to New York, the MTA. And we knew how important this was at a time, especially when we're stressed about whether or not we're going to ever have the same number of riders and people coming back to our business districts because of the pandemic. So there's been a lot of shifts in society and how we work and where we work. And we wanted to make sure, as we're trying to attract people to come back, we had to be able to answer the question, will I be safe? Is my child safe going to school on the set? We had to answer that with a resounding yes. And that is why we came together to announce our Cops, Cameras, and Care initiative just in October. And what that was all about was, first of all, boosting the police presence. People feel better. Just like I did as I came down on the number 4 train, I can't tell you how many times I heard someone say, if you need assistance, there's a police officer on the platform, in the mezzanine. And I'm looking around me. Of course, I was surrounded by a few more police than usual, but I want people to have that sense if you need help, it's there. But also, if you're someone looking to do harm to somebody, that's a powerful deterrent when you know there's a police officer right either in the train, the platform, and the mezzanine. So that was an important part of it, beefing up our police forces, bringing in our resources from MTA Transit, but also assisting the mayor to be able to add more people to his team as well. We talked about the need to have cameras. We've been aggressively installing more and more cameras on an expedited timetable. I wanted to go faster and make sure that that we have information available if we do need to solve a crime. And again, another deterrent if you know that what you're doing to hurt someone else or cause a problem is going to be captured on camera. Also, as I mentioned, we launched what we call the Transition to Homes initiative, where we had a new treatment program for inpatient care for those experiencing serious mental illness as part of our care program, and also making sure we have training. Now, this is important. Training for our clinicians, law enforcement professionals, also the MTA workers who come in contact with, so they know what the rights of individuals are and help the people who are unhoused deal with mental illness. And again, I want to thank the Office of Mental Health for leading the trainings. Again, you would assume they know, but don't assume that. You have to have a training program so everyone who comes in contact with our passengers knows how to respond in a situation where it's required. So we've been making progress. We've been making real progress. Now, we'll stand here, we'll say we're never finished. As long as there's any crime being committed, we will never say mission accomplished. Those words will never come from our lips. But today's an opportunity to give a progress report. And we're going to continue doing this. We're going to keep being honest with you, letting you know when we see data that says things are heading in a wrong direction. We'll talk about that, what our next strategy is. But when things are improving, that's something we also want to make sure gets out to the general public. So we have seen a 16% drop in subway crime. We have some charts that you can look at. That's just since the beginning of October from the previous year. Major crimes on the subway, since we started our initiative to bring more police officers and resources to the subway, major crimes on the subway are down 28% since October. That's not over a year, that's just in a very short time, showing the success of when you work together, pool our resources, city and state, approach this in a collaborative way where we bring all of our resources and start making a difference. So regardless of our seasonal trends, that's very encouraging. Major crimes are down 16%, as I said, but also the crimes per million riders. This is what's interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb here. If you did a survey of how people feel about their security on the subway, say in February of 2020, before the pandemic, I'm not sure it would be on their top list, insecurity and concern about crime. So people had this kind of, yes, it's New York. It's not always perfect. We're an imperfect place sometimes, but I don't think it was that same level of anxiety that has occurred during the pandemic. When you think about it, there were fewer riders, fewer people with jobs, more people that may have been doing harm to those who were on the subways during that time. So that was kind of an unusual time frame. And it's almost hard to compare ourselves to that time frame because they were extraordinary circumstances. But what we want to talk about is before the pandemic, there were 1.5 million crimes per 1 million riders. Or 1.5, not 1.5 crimes. All right, let me restart that. I would never have come on if it was 1.5 million crimes per 1 million riders. The governor stands corrected. 1.5 crimes, 1.5 crimes per million riders. At the height of the pandemic, it went up exponentially. 2.8 crimes per million. Now that's when people are getting anxious. You read about it, you saw it in the news, you may have experienced it personally. In 2021, things getting a little bit better, not great, 2.3 crimes per million riders, and that was roughly the same as what it was through 2022. So when we judge ourselves, let's look at the pre-pandemic numbers. Again, before the pandemic, 1.5 crimes per million riders. Today, year to date, it is 1.7 crimes per million riders. Now, we're not exactly where we were, but that is an amazing trend. That is a trend that we can feel good about as long as that continues to hold. We're also seeing some of the lowest strong start in the subway safety in history. As we started collecting the data back in 1993, we're starting to share this information. So thus far, we're just wrapping up January now, but even the January data we see, it's the lowest level of transit crime during a month of January since we started collecting data many, many decades ago. So, despite all these facts, I can't tell New Yorkers they should feel safe. I'm not going to even do that. But the data is showing that New Yorkers are telling us they feel safer, and that's what I'm going to pay attention to. According to our December MTA customer satisfaction survey, and again, thank you, Jana, when I spoke to the member of your team who conduct these surveys, asking people how they feel and what their thoughts are and how we can improve is how we get better. So let's talk about how they felt during this survey, just basically the month of November. The number of New Yorkers who overall feel safe or very safe went up 18% in a very short time. We just started this initiatives back in October. By November, people's attitudes were up almost 20% compared to the previous month. That's the highest jump we've seen since we started taking the surveys. And it builds on the fact that we have more riders. We reached another milestone, December 27th, 1 billion riders, 1 billion riders. And my train was crowded. It's a Friday, right? All the story, everybody's staying home on Fridays, they seem to be coming back. I understand, but that's okay. So we've had a robust year of ridership. Riders are coming back. We're making a difference, helping New Yorkers be safer and feel safer. And again, we're going to continue applying the lessons we learned. You heard about what I spoke about mental health. $1 billion investment, first time ever, the most aggressive approach the state of New York has taken to dealing with the issue of mental health since the deinstitutionalization of the 1970s. We are leaning hard on this. And again, I thank Commissioner Sullivan. We're going to have more services, more places for take people when they need a hospital bed because we have a shortage there. But when they leave there, don't just say go back out to the streets, good luck to you, God bless you. That doesn't work. It has to be staying in contact with people. Are you able to get the therapy? Are you going to get services? Do you have a place to live? That's how we start making a real difference in this challenge. So it's all about adding 3,200 new homes, new beds, 1,000 beds, and that's going to be more beds than we had before. So, Mayor, I'll let you take it away, but this is a good day.
Yes, it is.
It's a good day. And I don't know that we'll ever stand here and say crime is gone, but this is New York. It's vibrant. It feels much better than it did a year ago, even the month of October. There's this greater sense of security. Again, not my words, but the words of our valued riders. So thank you very much for reporting this. And Mayor Adams, again, incredible partnership. Together, we're going to keep making a difference, not just for our riders, but for the people of New York City. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Governor. Thank you. I just want to thank all of our partners, the governor, the commissioner, the MTA, Jano, and really our team down here in the subway system. And the governor's right. We stood here with a real plan. And I remember the first 3 days in office, people were saying, why hasn't crime turned around on the subway system? You know, what is taking you so long? January 3rd, these were the questions we were getting. A system, people were coming through the traumatization of COVID. The crime was real. Right here, we talked about a person living under the stairs that was just allowed to live in the system. We saw encampments. We saw people living in the tunnel area. We saw a large volume of individuals who were dealing with severe mental health illnesses that was really being ignored. We came in with a real plan, a real combination, and we rolled it out in layers. Every step of the way, we did an examination. Are we successful? What do we need to do? How do we pivot? How do we shift? We had over 1 million inspections of our subway system last year. I think that is the highest in recorded history, where we told our officers who were assigned to the Patrol Bureau that you are not going to ignore the transit system that's within your precinct location. We no longer was a disjointed, siloed police department. We utilized all of our assets to go in and deal with the issue of crime. And I say it over and over again, and we take criticism for it, but it is actual. Crime is actually the number, and it's how people feel. We did not ignore what people were feeling. People felt unsafe in our system. And it does me no good to say we have 3.9 million riders. We had 1 billion people that rode our system last year. But we have 3.9 million daily riders, an average of 6 crimes a day. It didn't matter if those numbers were there. The reality was that people said they felt unsafe. So we had to have a dual approach. We had to deal with how people felt, and we had to deal with the actual 6 crimes, felony crimes we were having on average a day. And that was our dual approach. And how do we do it? We said to our police officers, we're going to give you the equipment, the leadership, and our officers were going to have a real visible presence, because nothing makes you feel better when you are in the system or up top than seeing that uniform officer. That uniform officer brings you a level of calmness. You feel as though there's someone there to give you the service that you need. But we went beyond that. Partnering with Jano and the MTA, we started doing announcements, telling passengers that you have an officer at the station, you have an officer on the train. We went on to say we're going to remove all the encampments. I think it was 2 to 3 weeks into my administration that I stated, we're taking the encampments off our system. That's not going to happen. They're not there now. You don't see those encampments anymore on our system. And when I ride the trains, which I do often, we listened to the public on what they wanted, and we incorporated it into our strategy. And they're telling me, Eric, we're seeing less homeless on the system. We're seeing the police officers. So I knew prior to the survey coming out, because I did my own survey of being on this system, speaking to passengers, and they were sharing how they felt. And if anyone knows New Yorkers, they are not shy about sharing their opinions. 8.5 million New Yorkers, 36 million opinions, and they will let you know it every day. But we started seeing a different energy. And then with new leadership, I am so happy to have Chief Kemper here, who brings that Eric Adams energy to this job and is cascading out to the officers who are performing this job every day. Do we have a long way to go? You're darn right, because the governor's right. We don't want 6 felonies a day. We want 0 felonies a day. But are we trending in the right direction? You're darn right we are, because we did it by not just having a knee-jerk response. We did strategic, smart, layer-on precision policing. I know what precision policing is like. I was a transit cop when this system was filled with graffiti and crime and disorder. Just as we turned it around then, we're going to turn it around now, and that is what we're doing. Ridership is up. People are feeling confidence about their system. As Chief Kemper will go through where our crime numbers are, record numbers, and we're going to continue to move in that trend, and we're going to continue to pivot and shift. And I'm hearing all the time, well, how much it costs. I want to be clear. There is no price tag on public safety. The subway system is the lifeblood of our city. If people don't utilize this system, it would impact business, it would impact tourism, it would impact the ability to function, and it will cripple our economy. That is the price tag that's important to me. This system will be safe, it will be functional, and it will be free from the disorder that we inherited in 2022. And so I cannot thank the governor enough. She has been in this system probably more than any governor in history, talking about turning around the disorder that people felt, the crime that was real, and the perception that we could not have a functioning, safe, clean, productive subway system. This is the partnership that we needed to do to deal with the mental health, to deal with the crime, to deal with the resources in the MTA, and to deal with a governor that understood the importance of New York City's subway system. We're the economic engine of this entire state, and New York State is the economic engine of this country, and it starts one swipe at a time and one train at a time, one passenger at a time. And we're going to continue to move in the right direction. And I cannot, again, I say it over and over again, there are many conversations we have in public and in private. The governor has been a partner for the city of New York, and that is going to allow us to do the things that we have to do. Thank you so much, Governor.
Mayor, Governor, Chairman Leva, Commissioner, to all, good morning. From the first day in their office, this administration, the mayor, the police commissioner have been very vocal and repeatedly stated that public safety is their #1 priority. And this certainly includes public safety in the New York City subway system. With Mayor Adams' subway safety plan released in February of last year, and the Cops, Cameras, and Care program launched last October by the mayor and the governor, unprecedented investments in public safety commitments have been made in our city's transit system. And although we recognize that we still have a lot of work to do and that there are going to be many challenges ahead of us, we are extremely encouraged by the results we've seen from these investments so far. And we are working to continue with this trend. Regarding crime in the subway system, 2022 was challenging, particularly when compared to 2021, a year when the transit system faced pandemic-related complexities such as reduced use and lower ridership. During the first 10 months of our calendar year in 2022, Overall major crime in the transit system was up a very concerning 41.6%. Then, on October 25th, the mayor and the governor launched the Cops, Cameras, and Care program. This plan put upwards of 1,200 additional officers in the subway system every day, assigned to patrol trains, platforms, mezzanines, and turnstiles. And the results were swift and significant. Through the hard work of the men and women of the NYPD, the turnaround began immediately, and it continues till today. When we compare the period from the end of October to the present day with the same 3-month period a year ago, overall major crime in transit is down double digits, and that includes a 28% decline in robberies. And when comparing the time period, listen to this, when comparing the time period of this recent safety program to prior years, the same 3-month period, we are currently at the second lowest overall crime level in recorded history. And I'm going back all the way to 1995 when the Comstat era started. Second lowest. Second to only 2020, the height of the COVID pandemic. Make no mistake about it, none of this happened by accident. NYPD officers have worked long and hard over the past 3 months to accomplish these results, and enforcement in the subway system is up in all areas. Arrests are up 63%, including a 26% increase in felony arrests and a 78% increase in misdemeanor arrests. Fare evasion enforcement during this 3-month period is up 170%. TAB summonses and criminal court summonses, those are the summonses that include quality of life violations, they have increased dramatically, 90% and 100% increases respectively. Also encouraging is our current year 2023 crime numbers. As of this morning, and although we're only a little over 3 weeks into the new year, but for these little over 3 weeks into the new year, overall major crime in the subway system is down 31% versus last year. With arrests this year alone for the first 3 weeks, arrests are up 97%, TAB summonses up 91%, criminal court summonses up 150%. I'd say that's a very good start to the new year. In addition to fighting crime in the subway system, NYPD cops have done so much more. From jumping on the tracks to save people, to saving overdose victims, to rendering aid to people in need, or to offering someone a level of comfort and safety through just their visible presence, your cops stepped up to every challenge that came their way, and they're going to continue to do so. It's what they do. Again, we know we still have a lot to do to be where we want to get to, but at the same time, we are encouraged by the initial results, and we are very proud of the hard work of our cops. I want to thank the MTA chairman, John Oliva, and his team at the MTA for their continued partnership in these efforts. And most of all, I want to thank our department's greatest assets, our cops, for doing what they do each and every day. The greatest cops in the world. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Hochul, Mayor Adams, thank you for being here, as you have been so many times in the past. But thank you for stepping up again and again and again for the MTA, and more important, for New York's riders. That has been a hallmark of your leadership. Chief Kempner, you've already made a difference, and we're thrilled to be working with you. You've heard a lot of stats today, but there are two that I follow. Ridership, up this month 35%, crime down 31%. That's the month of January. These are the metrics that we track most closely. As the governor said, New Yorkers, as a result of all of this movement that we've talked about this morning, are feeling much more secure. In 1 month, the number of riders in a survey telling us that they feel safe or very safe, that's our goal, has gone from 40% to almost 60% in 1 month. That is the impact of the program that the governor and the mayor set in motion. And the percentage of our riders who are saying they feel like there's the right number of police in the system is the highest it's ever been. The one thing that riders say again and again and again, up and down the demographic and economic spectrum, is they want to see cops, and they are happier about the number of cops that they're seeing than ever before. We're not taking our foot off the gas on the cops, cameras, and care program. I know that the governor and the mayor aren't. They're in it for the long haul. That's what we're all in it to do for the riders. I got to thank the transit workforce, who is essential, not just to running the subways, but to creating this environment of safety and orderliness and service that we're all shooting for. Got to thank the conductors who are making those announcements and letting people know there's a cop on the platform if you have an issue. And the few crimes that continue to take place, because we see the reports every day. Every day, we're seeing more and more immediate apprehensions because there are cops on the platform. If someone's stupid enough to try to snitch a phone from a sleeping passenger, cops on platforms, arrest made. It's really, really a change. I also have to acknowledge my brother, Rich Davey, who runs New York City Transit. Rich has arranged with our labor partners to get the station agents out of the booths, which is going to enable them to be much more interactive with passengers, to give directions, all kinds of customer assistance, but it's also a safety improvement because now they're going to be able to be eyes and ears across an entire station, not just for what they can see from behind the glass booth. A very human presence is being added to the equation in our system. And then there's the robust camera program. As the governor said, we are adding cameras throughout the trains as well as in the subway system. And Chief Kempner and I were talking about the fact that the police department is apprehending everybody almost immediately because of the access to the video that comes from the subway system. It's a huge partnership between MTA and NYPD that's really part of the success that we're achieving. And that's because we want everybody to know, with all due respect, commit a crime against our riders in the transit system, you're going to be photographed and you're going to be arrested. And that message is getting across. Lots more to accomplish. We have to keep up the good work, but we're never going to stop fighting for New York's riders. And under the leadership of this governor and this mayor, we're achieving unbelievable results. Thank you.